Bob Ingram. And Bob, may I call upon you to give the nominating committee report?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Marty, and thank you, Chris. If I could just, and I'm going to be brief, first of all, I'd like to take the prerogative, Chris, to ask you all to welcome, for those of us who are fortunate to live in the great state of North Carolina. North Carolina, as those of you who don't even live here, I'm sure know of, has made remarkable progress over the last 30 years. We've become a leader not only in the Southeast, but in the nation in terms of education, both in our public and private universities. And now as a grandfather who likes his grandchildren better than his children, by the way, they like me better than my children. And it's because we share a common enemy. It's their parents. But all kidding aside, our primary education, secondary education, has made enormous strides. We're also, as you know, a center of not only health care, but a center of cancer research. We have 3 comprehensive cancer centers in our state: North Carolina, Duke, and Wake Forest. And all of that, in addition to tremendous transition from a state that was reliant on tobacco, textiles, and furniture, to a state that has become a leader in technology, in life science, in financial services, has occurred because of the leadership of one man, the only 4-term governor in the history of our state, who continues to be an example for all of us in terms of his tireless energy and leadership on so many issues. We do call him with great affection our governor for life. And that's said out of respect, admiration, and gratitude for all he has and continues to do. Please join me in welcoming my dear friend, Governor Jim Hunt. Jim, sorry. Maybe that's better. And I'd like to, again, Alex, thank you. This would not have started while I'm grateful for the recognition. J&J has been here from day one and set an example as a corporation for all of us in terms of not what they said, but what they did and continue to do in this whole effort on prevention and wellness. And I hope all of you, as you go back to talk with your own organizations, and more than that, new prospects. Yes, this is focused on cancer, but as I know you all know, this effort and this focus will pay dividends across the whole spectrum of disease. If we eat sensibly, if we don't smoke, if we exercise, and if we appropriately take diagnostic tests, we reduce the incidence and the cost of not only cancer, but cardiovascular disease, diabetes, hypertension, and other diseases. So I think all of you know who have the privilege to be CEOs. Yes, we have an obligation from a fiduciary standpoint to our shareholders and or to our owners. And this is good business. It's not only the right thing to do, it's good business. And there is a definite payback. We're sitting here in this wonderful, incredible campus and building. And as you all know, this is the world's largest and arguably the most successful software firm in the world. And one of the reasons it is because of the retention of their talent and the wellness of their workforce. And that all starts with Jim and his commitment. And I think it's only appropriate that last night we recognized as the first winners of the Charles A. Sanders Award, Sass, Lovell, and Ann Vickery, and Chris, you, and Sanofi. Because it is, again, as you've heard already, that partnership that has not only set an example in terms of the gold standard, but as you're going to hear about in just a few minutes, I think without question now, as we go into an era where data is going to yield even better answers, in that we're going to be able, as a society, and it's going to take time, investment, and persistent effort, to deliver not just good medicines to big populations, but really great answers to subsets of that population and really make medicine, personalized medicine, a reality. I think you also all appreciate that as people who've had the privilege of leadership, we really have a responsibility for the future in terms of succession. We have it in our own organizations, both from a management standpoint, from a board standpoint, and we have that here at the CEO Roundtable. And as Marty and Chris alluded to, we discuss this, as we should, at our executive committee meetings. And we have decided to form, under Chris's leadership as our chair, the Chairman's Council. And that council will be initially comprised of recently, or not so recently, retired CEOs who will work with Chris and Marty to identify, not only continued with your help, future members and additional members, but future leaders within our organization. The good news is Chris has a long runway, and but he obviously, like all of you, has a lot of demands on his time. And we want to make sure that we're putting in place the right succession plan for the leadership of this organization, just as you do every day in your organizations. And with that, the initial Chairman's Council will be comprised of my dear friend and our dear friend Bill Weldon, my great friend David Brennan, and Ed Hanway, who many of you know, former CEO of Cigna, and I will be proud to join them. And we'll be sharing with you, both individually and collectively, not only our thinking, but our requests. Because as we move forward, we want to make sure that this organization sustains itself, not just financially, and I again echo Ken, thank you. By the way, at Hatteras, we don't call Ken Matisse. We're just glad every day he comes in off the golf course. We are in sound financial shape. We have a nice, not just cushion, but war chest. And we now want to build that war chest, if you will, of talent, both in terms of membership and leadership. And in closing, I just would say that it continues for me to be a source of great privilege and really a tremendous pride that I see the growth of our organization, but more importantly, what I see is the people in our organizations living healthier lives, not just hopefully free of cancer, but healthier lives in terms of their overall health condition because of our commitment. And I'm incredibly excited about the opportunities we have, particularly with Project DataSphere. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Bob. Well, let's now talk about protection for all of the employees of our collective. And so we'll turn to our gold standard task force. Judy O'Hagan, who leads human resources for Sanofi Pharma in the U.S., having first certified Sanofi, caught the bug, has become quite passionate about this subject and is leading that task force. So welcome, Judy, and we look forward to hearing how much progress we're making.